Sarasota, Florida. We're famous for our arts here as much as we are for our beaches. We have the symphony, we have opera, we have ballet, we have theater, and we have another form of art that people don't often talk about, and that art is architecture. My name is Catherine Sarasota. I'm your host today on the American Dream TV. Come with me to the Umbrella House and let's go meet Marty. And we're here today with the president of Architecture Sarasota. And thanks for joining us, Marty.
Thanks for having me.
Why did you want to be president of Architecture Sarasota? Why care about old buildings?
So my parents brought us here and I saw my first building by Paul Rudolph. It was the Sarasota High School edition and it changed my life. I said, I want to do that. And my parents were like, you want to do what? And I said, whatever that magic is. I couldn't even articulate the word architecture. So it was because of Sarasota that I went on to study architecture and architectural history and went on then to do an advanced degree in historic preservation or cultural heritage.
Can you give us a little short history from Twitchell upwards?
Sure. First of all, Sarasota has always had a disproportionate impact on the world of architecture, both nationally and globally. And that's because in 1925, a man named Ralph Twitchell arrived. He worked for an architect, Dwight James Baum, who'd been hired by John and Mabel Ringling of the Ringling Brothers Circus to design their home, which became known as Catazan, House of John, in Venetian dialect. So it is a Venetian palazzo, revival building on the Gulf. Twitchell, so good with construction, fell in love, like we all do, with Sarasota. He returned in 1936, and he set up practice. And by then, European modernists, you had the Bauhaus was closing, and they were immigrating to the United States, and we had our first sort of international style buildings being done, and he brought with him an interest. But it really all started in '41 when Paul Rudolph, who was arguably one of the top 3 most important American architects of the 20th century, right out of school, arrived, and it was a really amazing collaboration with Twitchell.
What would you say are some of the hallmarks of a Sarasota school building?
After we emerged from the United States from World War II as one of 2 superpowers, the Soviet Union decided that their architecture was going to be traditional. Ours was modern. And I think that it represented modernism, the optimism, and the idea of progress of that era. And so modernism, that European modernist, larger modernist approach being adapted to a regional context. It is subtropical, which you mentioned, right? The climate, the flora, the fauna, the geography, and even the socio-cultural context was a bit different here than it was in other places like Chicago or New York. Some of the principles, again, you mentioned no air conditioning. So the idea of passive means of cooling. So the building we're in, the Umbrella House, has louvers that open up on both sides, and it allows, 1 room deep, allows that sort of Gulf breeze to float through. Physical connection that you mentioned with Wright or Twitchell, that while we're sitting inside, much of what we're seeing is outdoors. Yeah. And there's a lot of window walls that open up and allow activities to flow out onto the lanais or what have you.
Do you know how many Sarasota school structures still exist in the area? I know you're doing the Celebrate 100 right now.
Right, we have our Sarasota 100. We've surveyed about 800 buildings. Truly Sarasota school, I would say somewhere between 300, 350. And again, it depends, it's an artificial construct, right? These were like-minded people who came together around similar ideas about architecture.
How interesting. Even if you don't live in an iconic Sarasota School of Architecture house, your home is worth having beautiful art. We popped in today to Chasing Galleries in downtown Sarasota, and I would encourage you to always look around you for beautiful art for your home. So So I hope you've learned more about the Sarasota School of Architecture today, and it's just one of so many things that makes Sarasota so unique and such a desirable place to be. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope to see you again on the next American Dream TV.